Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is time for an episode of Broncos for Breakfast. I am Nick Kendall, joined by Eric Trickle. Eric, I miss you, buddy. It would have been fun to celebrate this game as well. I think maybe the meet and greet should last, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks next season. That would be great. That'd be a lot of fun to see everybody. But no, yeah, what a game for the Broncos. Sorry we are late. I had to get a cup of coffee going. I like to share a little bit every once in a while. Personal, the kid was up from 1 to 3:45 this morning, I guess is what it is. And I fell asleep on the ground because every time I got up and left, he'd freak out again. So I fell asleep on the ground in the bedroom, and my wife came in being like, "Hey, isn't it Monday? Don't you have a show?" My alarm was going. Why didn't you wake me up when my alarm went off in the bedroom where you were? But alas, here we are. We're talking Broncos, and my back is killing me, Eric. I am dying from sleeping on the ground. 33 doesn't feel like 24 anymore. Let me tell you, man, I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why when the kiddo asks for her mom and I to sleep out in the living room with her, we're like, no, like we just can't do that. Even our couches aren't very comfortable enough to sleep on. We're just too old for that, and I have some issues, and my wife has some back issues. Like we just can't do it. Like, and it's tough though because like especially at 8, 9, like that you want to do things with them and everything like that. And I mean, it'd be a blast. And we've talked about getting an air mattress for the living room so we could do that. But until we do, it's just our bodies just can't take sleeping on the floor. We're old, and I know there's gonna be people in the chat that are like, "Well, you guys are still young." It's like, well, our bodies are telling us we're old. That's a big thing.
Yeah, falling asleep on the ground. I guess I'm glad I didn't have my phone with me. I needed that sleep, but man, goodness, I've been dreaming. I've been dreaming about a Broncos amazing offense, and really happy to be talking to everybody today. Stephen Bumgarner coming in with membership for 2 months. Denver Luke coming in, victory Monday. Absolutely, yeah. The Broncos are 6-2 now on the season. They score 44 points at home for the first time in over a decade, since 2014, and it wasn't close. The Broncos defense, did pretty well, all things considered. Was it 17 points versus what had been the best passing offense in the NFL. And I felt like a lot of the keys that we talked about. Now, granted, Eric, we both got the game wrong. We'll own that. I didn't think Denver's offense would be able to score and do what they did. But hopefully this is not just hopefully this isn't. You guys let me know in the private chat also if I'm having some issues here, Eric. But the Broncos, Riley Moss on a lot on CD Lamb, and Denver stopping the run and running the football and not going away from the screens. And it all kind of came together for an incredible Broncos offensive performance.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. I talked about it on, I think it was Friday night. I said their offense against our defense was the unstoppable force against the immovable object, and then the other side of it was the very stoppable force of the Broncos offense against the very movable object of the Cowboys defense. And well, the unstoppable or the immovable force and the stoppable force won out. I was pleasantly surprised at how the Broncos defense did, handling the multitude of weapons that the Cowboys had to throw their way. I mean, they completely took Jake Ferguson out of the game. He had one target on the game and no catches. Javonte Williams had one catch for 8 yards. So he wasn't a factor in the passing game and only ran the ball for 41 yards, I think it was. So they kept it out. They kept that him limited. And in all, the tight ends and running backs, they only combined for, I think, like 5 catches for like 20 some odd yards or 30 some odd yards, something like that. And that was where I was worried most about this. And then you look at what this defense did with Patrick Surtain missing most of the game. I mean, he missed it a little bit in the first half and then missed all of the second half. This is a game, and I wrote it up, and I don't know when it's going to get published, but this is a game where Vance Joseph deserves Broncos country respect for what he did with this and losing the straw that serves the drink of the defense and shutting down that offense. Like, he deserves so much credit and so much respect for this one.
Yeah, the defense, I mean, obviously the offense is the name of the show, putting up 44 points as Perry West comes in here, $44, and hopefully the lagging is a little better. It's people are saying it's on both ends, so maybe it's a StreamYard issue this morning. But Perry West 44 says complete game. Yeah, other than the first drive interception, Eric. I feel pretty darn good about this Broncos game. I'm sure there's a few things here and there. The Riley Moss penalties, as correct or wrong or whatever, profiling at this point. But no, it felt like a very good, complete butt whipping of the Dallas Cowboys. Now the Cowboys haven't beat the Broncos since like 1993, 1995. That streak continues. Dak is 0-3 against them. Broncos are 3-0 against the NFC. I mean, I know that we'd rather be undefeated against the AFC for tiebreaker purposes, but I don't know if you saw the discourse on Twitter, Eric, but there's a lot of NFC is beating the heck out of the AFC this year. Well, Broncos not the case, and also not the case this week. I think the Steelers are the only AFC team to lose to an NFC team this week. But the Broncos complete game. Really happy to see it. And I think we have to, start off. I mean, I already posted on Twitter. My big takeaway was the Broncos' offensive line and run game dominating like they were. But this is by far the best game of Bo Nix's season so far. Like the passing chart actually looks like a big boy passing chart. He hit throws over the middle of the field. And shout out to him, because after that first interception, I don't know if it was miscommunication or just like bad technique, letting the ball just get away from him in his drop back and the accuracy. But he really played such a good game after that. Some of the throws were awesome, and teammates, I felt like were letting him down more than him limiting the teammates around him, which I don't feel like I've seen super often this season. And it was awesome to see. So shout out to Bo Nix and the Broncos second-year quarterback. I mean, if he plays like that, if he plays like 75% of that, Eric, this Denver team is going to be hard.
According to Sean Payton, it was the issue of mechanics from Bo Nix on the interception. I think he said that the throwing motion and the feet just got away from him a little bit, which is what it looks like when you watch it live. And not that it matters anyways, because had he completed that, it still would have been called back because there was an illegal man downfield penalty on the play. As Alex Podcheski he was like 10 yards downfield, man. It was funny to watch. But both did great. Troy Franklin against zone.
You called that
every single week.
You called that, Eric.
He absolutely tore up against the heavy zone that the Cowboys run. I mean, he just does such a good job of finding the open spot. And one thing I noticed too, and they talked about how Travis Kelce does this. Travis Kelce, he'll find the soft spot in the zone and he'll set it, even if it takes him into the play, into a route of somebody else. I noticed there was a couple times Troy Franklin did that as well. Kind of put him in the path of the throw for somebody else, but it's a soft spot in the zone. He sets it. And so great job by him. Cortland Sutton had that one really bad drop there. That was such a beautiful throw from Bo Nix. And that's one of those plays where teammates are kind of letting Bo Nix down. The run game got going, although, and I'm going to get ridiculed for this, a couple of those runs were just really terrible plays by the Cowboys. The one big J.K. Dobbins run.
The edge setting?
That was
where
the edge setting. I mean, the safety crashes inside and the corner is taking the far out line. That leaves that lane right open. Yeah. And in all my years watching this, can't say for sure. It could just be a really weird run fill setup for Matt Eberflus, but man,
Eberflus.
That just was a bad play by them. But the Broncos still did well, and a lot of excitement for RJ Harvey. But one thing worth noting, he had 7 runs for 46 yards, 2 of them for 41 yards and 2 touchdowns. So 5 for 5 is not ideal. So you want a little bit more consistency out of him. And that's just one of the few negatives that I have for this offense out of the game, which is that consistency from RJ Harvey.
Yeah, well, consistency from Perry West, $44. We need the Broncos to drop 100 next week, Perry. God bless you. Thanks for coming in, hanging out with us. Shout out to Dylan, too, for picking up my slack. I didn't have Facebook join us out of the start, and Dylan said, we got to get those guys in here. So, hello, Facebook. That's on me. Too excited to get it going. Rob Bucksbaum, good morning. Happy Victory Monday, everybody. If truly available, what would you give up for Brian Thomas Jr.? Oh, man, the question for me here, because I'm not dialed in enough, if there's medical or character issues in the background, because it doesn't make any sense to me why you'd be looking to trade somebody so young. Like, he was one of the youngest players in the NFL last season, and he is supremely talented. Off the surface, 3.5 years of control for what he showed last season. I mean, for a young wide receiver at that very valuable position, I would assume a first and a second would get you at least on the phone. Would I give that up right now for Denver with where they are at a lot of contractually? I mean, they need to start getting some young talent on here to help fill in the roster because of how many big contracts they have coming up and how they set up the contracts. But I mean, Thomas is so talented, Eric. I'm listening, but this smells of something weird going on because you don't just offer somebody this talented up for grabs this young, this early in their career.
Well, if you paid attention to the group chat, no, there's been some stuff that's going on about him, and it does seem like he is very much available. They're not overly inclined to trade him, but they're still going to listen. And basically, from what it sounds like, is they have a very defined set of roles within the offense, and Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't really fit one, and they're trying to get him to fit, and he's playing terribly. He is, I mean, as soon as I heard about this, I went in and threw on some of his tape. He is very timid against coverage now, which is not something that we saw last year. He already has like 10 drops on the season. He's averaging almost 2 per game. Like he contested catch situations, he's just getting dominated. Like there is so many issues with Brian Thomas Jr. right now on the field, and it just seems that the Jaguars are ready to move on instead of trying to figure out a role for him and a way to use him in an offense that doesn't really call for what he does best. So that just kind of seems to be it. Now, could there be something underlying there off the field in the film room? Sure. It just doesn't sound like that's the case. But then again, teams don't like to air dirty laundry publicly all that often either.
Yeah. Interesting. Brian Thomas, very talented. I mean, if he fits what Sean Payton wants, he's probably as good as any wide receiver in this upcoming class. I mean, with also proof of concept at the next level. Now, granted, you're getting 3.5 years rather than 5 years. But I mean, I think you call. I think you call. And maybe you could even soften the blow of the trade as well by sending back one of your 3 young receivers, whether it be Franklin, Bryant, or Mims. But we do want to talk about Bryant, Mims, and all these guys coming in here. But first, we have I clicked it. Let's see if it comes up here. There we go. Brad, you guys need to stop underestimating this team. I mean, it's a week-to-week league, but they are what their record is right now. I know that a lot of I've seen Denver is 2 plays away from being 8-0. They're also, 2 plays away from being, what are they, 6-2, 4-4 right now, because they almost lost that Jets game and the Giants game also. But I think 6-2 is probably right about right for where this team is at, and that's a good team. So again, it's been hard for me to believe in the offense, and this was a great game from the offense. You play who's in front of you. Dallas is the worst defense in football, but this at least gives you hope that they can take advantage of some matchups and give them confidence. So yeah, I think you're right, Brad. Now, am I going to put Denver as a Super Bowl favorite? I need to see. Talk to me in 4 weeks after Denver plays Kansas City and this Houston team. That is tough, but no, 6-2. They're good, and they also have the one thing, Eric, that I love about Sean Payton. It seems to be Sean Payton teams. Also, I have to do it after work, and everybody drink Iowa teams as well. Who they were the first 4 weeks of the season is not who they're appearing to be right now. A good team with good locker room guys, leadership, the right self-guided discipline and work ethic with the coaching staff. You see team improvement and figuring out who you are, and then like Iowa always plays Iowa State, and it's a close game. And then I think Iowa when November comes around, would beat the absolute pants off of Iowa State just because how good they are at growing throughout the season, especially in the trenches. And I think we're maybe seeing that a little bit with the Broncos offense as well. So yeah, I'm really impressed with where they're going. And I said that early on too. They lost to the Colts, lost to the Chargers. Like, okay, this doesn't look like a Super Bowl caliber team right now, but good teams don't finish the season who they were back in September. They evolve. So this team looks like they have the chance to evolve.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, guys, we know we're choppy. It's on StreamYard's end. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. We apologize for that. Obviously, it stinks, and it sucks for us too. Like we pride ourselves on trying to give you guys good audio quality, and so when something's beyond our control, obviously it sucks. But underestimating them, I mean, we were underestimating this offense a little bit. I still had them putting up 30 points against the Cowboys, even though I had them losing. I would say I underestimated this defense being able to handle the Cowboys offense a lot. But I mean, this offense, what have they what have they done to really inspire confidence outside of the one quarter against the Giants to close it out? But again, you can only play what's in front of you, and they did a great job against the Cowboys. And even though they're the worst defense in the NFL, and they're so beat up, they got down to the point in this game where they couldn't handle a injury at safety because they didn't have any more they can turn to, and they only had like one backup corner available for them at one point in this game. But even in games like this, it was my hope when they beat up on the Bengals defense was that this is a game that you take and you start putting the things together and you start fixing things, and then it carries over. It's, you know, those get right games. Hopefully this is one of them. Hopefully they can carry this over and ride this and not think too much of themselves over this win and carry it over into the Texans game next week. And I think that they have a really good chance in that one, even though the Texans defense has been one of the best in the NFL this season. That offense, I'm not buying their performance against the 49ers just because of a lot of the issues on the 49ers defensive end of things. But this is turning out to be a tough game because the Texans were 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about with the Broncos. That's not who they are now. But I still think that the Broncos walk away with a win against the Texans. I'll say that now. And it all just comes down to is this offense actually putting the things together and correcting the mistakes that they need to be a reliable and consistent offense going forward.
And also, I'm going to come in, and I typically, I don't like excuses, but going from Dallas to Houston is about as much of a whiplash defensively as you could possibly see. The worst defense in the NFL versus right now, Eric, I probably would say either Broncos defense is up there, but like the Browns / the Texans are right up there as well. Probably, I think Denver's like 8th in DVOA. So the going from that to Dallas to Houston is going to be really tough, and I'm going to cut Denver's offense a little bit of slack. I just need to see they don't have to look like this again. No. Like if they put up over 24 points, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's fine. We'll still nitpick the game in front of us, but this is a tough task coming up here. Shiloh coming in says, "Buck the Cowboys." Indeed, I'm glad you like that, Shiloh. I always like to work in the puns if I can for the shows. When
looks like Nick froze up. That's the second time I called Nick Lance. But Desert Creature coming in with a $10 super chat saying, "Good morning." Thank you, Desert. We appreciate that. I gotta say, I absolutely love the profile picture. It's absolutely great. And then Nicholas Klinger coming in saying, "Can we show some love to Jahdae Barron?" I had a gut feeling right before this game and I was wearing his jersey. Yeah, Jahdae Barron, RJ Harvey, Pat Bryant. It was the rookie show for the Broncos this week, and with all three of them, obviously I talked about Harvey already. 2 runs for 41 yards and 2 touchdowns, and 5 for 5 after that. Got to be a little bit more consistent. But Pat Bryant, 2 catches in the first half. That big touchdown wasn't even targeted in the second half. So, but that you can live with Pat Bryant not getting targeted in the second half because Troy Franklin was still playing great against the heavy zone that they play, and then Cortland Sutton found his way to be a part of this offense in the second half. So when the other guys step up, obviously you can kind of dictate things a little bit. But Jahdae Barron had a great game in a very limited role. It had that big interception to the second about the in the end of the first half. Sorry. But the thing with Barron, and I've seen this a lot, is people are questioning and being very concerned about him not stepping in when Patrick Surtain was out and them turning to Chris Evans-Strain. From what I understand, it's like they had to enter the week with a very specific role for Jahdae Barron, and it wasn't going to be a large role, but it was one that they really felt confident in him playing in, and they used it, and he played great in that role. So when Patrick Surtain went out, they didn't want to have to move him over and then fill that role still with somebody else who they may be a little bit less confident in. So I'm not taking this as an indictment of Jahdae Barron and where he's at as a player. However, there's been some rumblings that Patrick Surtain's going to be out a couple weeks. Going forward, if Jahdae Barron isn't the starter and they're going forward with him in that plan and trying to find somebody to fill his role on defense going forward, then I would be a little bit more concerned about where Jahdae Barron is as a player, not necessarily in this one game.
It's hard. Yeah, audio's not great. A lot of popping, says Jeremy. Sorry, Jeremy. I think StreamYard's having a lot of issues today. If it's both Eric and I, that means there's something above us that's having problems. So I don't know if there's much to do about that. So all this nice equipment and flabbergasted. Popping like the Broncos offense here, and popping like the Broncos rookie class. Did want to give a shout out to them. We kind of hinted at RJ Harvey, 3 touchdowns. He's going to give me a chance to win fantasy this week, Eric, because I went up against freaking Chris Boswell in my matchup. He put up 20 points as a kicker. You got to be freaking kidding me. So yeah, that's a frustrating game for me. But Harvey played great. Good to see Barron. Good to see Barron get the interception. And also shout out to Pat Bryant. All 3 of the Broncos' young wide receivers stepped up. We talked about it a lot leading up to this game, Eric. Like Broncos on the market for a wide receiver. You got 2 games here where you can find some things out. Unfortunately, Mims does find himself in concussion protocol. But Bryant had a good game. And also, it seems like the teammates really love Bryant as well, talking a lot about the blocking. He's confident in his blocking as well. It was much better this week from everybody. The screens actually worked. When it's crazy. You can call out plays and people execute and they look good. Don't think there was that much difference. Some of the decisions from the quarterback were different, working in the middle of the field, but a lot of it I think was just execution at the end of the day. But shout out to the Broncos rookie class. You always want to give those guys probably 2 years before you start really solidifying opinions on them, and they had a good game. It's something that we've been waiting for all season, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Not only we can get Savion Jones and Q Robinson out there more consistently for it, but it's understandable with, how deep the defensive line and edge room is.
Yeah.
There's just not a place for them barring injury, and you don't want to see injuries. But the rookie class and
they were always more developmental in my book. Like those two specifically
that's also true too. Is like they're not outside of special teams for Q Robinson. There's not a clear way to use him right now. Although he did play well filling in for Jonah Ellis.
He looked good.
Wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
He played pretty well. Savion Jones, he's shown some flashes when he's out there. Still a pretty big liability against the run, though, which seems to be the biggest detriment to it. Jeremy Crawshaw, I mean, he had 1 punt for 47 yards, and then the starters got pulled and had a second punt, which went for 33 yards, which isn't ideal. But the rookies, they really stepped up in this one and got to tip the hat to it. And I know, you mentioned it, and we've had a couple comments about trades. Wide receiver, that was the big one. With the question about Nate Adkins and his injury, I think Denver's on tight end watch for a trade. I think that if they make a move, it'll be for a tight end. That's where it seems to be. That seems to be over the last week where the needle has kind of moved to, is that they're calling about tight ends. They're doing a lot of work on the phones with it. And so if they make a move, it seems like it's going to be for a tight end. Oh, is Nick frozen again? And then talking about the edges, Willa has come in talking about that Tillman return. Man, that was a great play by DeAndre Tillman. Really baited Dak Prescott on that throw. And then the return, man, I was hoping that he would take it back all the way. I love seeing those big guys, those big defensive linemen, those edge rushers. I love seeing them tumble down the field and, get those big returns and get that score. I was really hoping for that. And not just that, but Jahdae Barron getting the interception. Turnovers finally seemed to click. And Denver even got a fumble recovery, even though the refs blew that call. Man, McMillan and Jones had that ball. That should have been Denver's ball. That was a fumble recovery by them, which also I called, by the way, Nick, can't beat that fumble rate. Jadon Blue with that sub 30 fumble rate right there. Not long before that, I was like, it's about time for it. Jadon Blue fumble, and there we got it. But yeah, I mean, it was great to see that things clicked on that level for the Broncos defense as well. 2 sacks, but takeaways are equal to about 3 sacks. That seems to be the 1 for 3 seems to be the rate. And so, Denver walked away in this one if you make that conversions with 8 sacks. I'm only in that because I predicted 8 sacks.
Dak's hard to sack at the end of the day, but I did want to give a shout out also. I mean, that should have been a fumble recovery. I don't even know what the heck was going on. I don't feel like I'm typically the refs are against us, but it feels like the refs' judgment calls are falling against Denver 75% of the time right now. I don't know if that's a Sean Payton thing. I know we're biased, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're wrong on that. And also wanted to shout out, we were so close with Jonathan Cooper as well with that dropping into coverage. It's not just Tillman had the really good interception return, which was, you love it, but Cooper, man, he was close. It would have been the third edge dropping, making a play near the line of scrimmage interception of the day yesterday, because he also had AJ Epinesa and Anthony Nelson have 2 incredible interceptions. So I was hoping for that, but if Jonathan Cooper went to the University of Iowa, maybe he could have done it.
You're not counting DeAndre Tillman.
But he was like in like the second level of defense. Like Epinesa was behind line of scrimmage. Like they were ones like they were actually like
okay. I get what you're saying now. Okay.
Yeah. Which Cooper's was as well. Just right there with the offensive lineman in front of him. But we do have to talk a little.
Oh, Nick's freezing up again. On the thing of interceptions and judgment calls, Brandon Jones almost had one too. He should have had one. He was just a little late on his rotation. And that was on the first drive where the Cowboys ended up having to settle for a field goal. He was just a little late rotating out. And then judgment calls going with the penalties and all that. Riley Moss, man, he just doesn't get the benefit of a doubt. Now, on that, both of those calls were technically penalties, but both of those are penalties that are like, you let them play, right? There's a penalty on almost every single play in the NFL, but sometimes you just don't call it because it's not a big impact. Well, those ones had a big impact on the play, and sometimes you don't call them because you just let the guys play football, and that's what they both were. The first one was a little bit more obvious. The second one, I can get going either way, but he had his hand inside the jersey, inside the chest plate on the neck, and was pulling down on it. So that's what led to the call. But both of them are just let them play, especially with how CeeDee Lamb plays a little bit. He can be pretty handsy as well. So both of them were right calls, but both of them were also those penalties where just let them play. And the same rings true for his late pass interference call last week against the Giants. Technically, he's holding the receiver's arm down, and it should have been either offsetting penalties because the defender also interfered with him trying to make a play on the ball, or they should have just let them play. And that's one thing that's so frustrating for me is when you get penalties that are like this, that just come down to just let these guys play football.
Yeah, they've been bad. The refs have been bad. I don't know if you saw the tush push. That's probably the end of that. With the forward progress is given when you get it, but if you create a fumble, then the play is dead. So I think that we're not long for the tush push. And I'm not against the play, but like if they can't ref
that's the thing. It's
fairly,
it just got to be ref because even alignment on it from the Eagles is, well, they cheat. Like they're breaking the rules. They're cheating. And with how they align for it. I mean, centers over the ball. You have the guards that are in the neutral zone and they're not allowed to be. So, like, just got to officiate it right, and just seems to be. And it's frustrating, especially with how some of these calls are going for Denver. Like, it's really frustrating to see the Eagles get away with something so blatantly obvious so often.
Yeah. Internet / the mics are kind of rough, so we'll probably wrap it up here decently soon. Eric, I know that we're living La Vida Loca with the Broncos winning a big game here, but I did want to at least touch on the injuries coming out of this game, and the Surtain one is very scary. He had that ankle injury in the first drive of the game, missed some time, and then you had him get hurt his shoulder on one of the last plays of the first half. You saw him kind of stretching out there. Obviously, it's shoulder. It could be anywhere from like a pinched nerve to just a strain to a torn pec. I am worried that he went to the locker room and instead of was questionable, was straight up out, and how tight-lipped everything has been. If it is a torn pec, his season's probably done, unless the Broncos maybe go to the Super Bowl. I guess there's a chance that late, but what kind of shape will he be in at that point? Hopefully we'll hear more soon, but PS2 is the best, not the most important player on the Broncos. It's always the quarterback, but by far their best player. And the reason they're able to call what they do up front with their aggressive defense and the heavy box counts is because you have PS2. So if he is hurt, I mean, I think your perspective on the entire season, unfortunately, changes. Like with PS2 there, you have a chance to go up against anybody defensively and give them a hell of a game and win. Without him, Denver's defense probably falls closer to 8th to 12th, I think, maybe, just because, again, that's not, I don't think that's disrespectful. Lose your superstar player, defensive player of the year, you're going to be worse. So I'm really hoping for the best there. I think I've seen the chat talk about it. I've seen a few people whisper it on Twitter, as well as Zach Stevens on what's the acronym? DNVR said that they were thinking 2 weeks for Surtain, but there's nothing official out there. He must have said that on their post-game podcast or something. I haven't heard anything. I've been searching Twitter like a psychopath because, I mean, the season probably the hope for the season probably lies on PS2 not being out for the year.
Yeah, and hopefully it's 2 weeks at most, because that's a Texans game, and they're so beat up on offense with the wide receivers that maybe you can get by with that a little bit with this defense, and then the Raiders, who are god awful, and for some reason they think that Tyler Lockett's going to save their season, and then you have the Chiefs after that, and 2 to 3 weeks, that seems to be that goes with what's been going around a little bit and what I heard. The question is just imaging. I mean, obviously they're going to go in and they're going to get the images today and check and see and get a good idea about where he is at, or what actually happened to him with the injury. Hopefully it's nothing super serious and it just needs a little bit of rest. And at most it's 2 games. Hopefully he'd be good to go this next week, but that doesn't seem likely.
I mean, I know that we really want him for the Kansas City game. Like, I'm willing to concede not having Surtain in that one. I'm just hoping that it's an offensive shootout and, the crowd wills the Broncos to a victory. At that point, you put him on IR, right? Because it would be you have 3 games plus the bye, so you get that extra spot, and he can be fresh coming off the bye as well. I mean, God, I really want him for that Kansas City game, but that is a battle where the entire season is a war, and you cannot have your most valuable defensive player and go where you want to go. I just don't think, again, 44 points great from the offense. This is still a defensive first team, and everything they are able to do is because you pretty much just lock up one side of the field with Surtain. So I'm expecting him out the next 2 weeks, but I'm just praying on. I'm not a praying type, but I'm praying on everything that it's not a season-ending injury. Yeah. So hopefully we'll find out more today. Mims' concussion is probably that helmet. I would assume he kept playing after that, I believe. But that's so. I don't know if Denver getting in trouble for that or anything. But that's one that is we're keeping an eye on because he had a really good return finally, kickoff return in this one that Denver didn't, a game that they didn't necessarily need him to, but they did. And also you have Nate Atkins, who's far and away your best skill position blocker out there. Pat Bryant, good for wide receiver, but like Nate Atkins, how they weaponize him as a blocker is a big deal. So as you mentioned, if he's out, it's a knee injury, but if he's out for extended time, I'll knock on wood on that one too, because he's kind of the secret needle mover for the offense, because you need how they use him. He's so important for the run game and with the personnel they want to use. But we are on watch for a Y tight end in the trade deadline if he's out for.
Yeah, and there's not many Y tight ends out there that the Broncos can really afford. Because they have the salary cap stuff that they have to work around, and it's a little bit harder to manipulate the salary cap in the regular season. Because the easiest way is with signing new contracts, and working, a lot of bonus money into it that can be prorated and pushed down the road and things like that. Not really doing that during the regular season. And any extensions that you sign, well, that money doesn't kick in until next year. Majority of the time, very, very rarely does it actually kick in that year of. But there are some guys out there. I don't think Mark Andrews or David Njoku are realistic options for Denver. One thing with Mark Andrews that's worth remembering too is that he has diabetes, and that has always raised a question about his ability to play at altitude in Denver specifically. I think that he played the last time the Ravens played in Denver, but it was only like a handful of snaps, if I remember correctly, because of that. And then you also have, so from there, you have Chig Okonkwo, the Titans one, who's more of a not that wide tight end. And I'm not sure who else is available outside of that. Could you possibly pry like a Luke Schoonmaker from the Dallas Cowboys? He's been decent as a blocker, but not that big, not a great piece. I don't think Brevin Spann-Ford from the Cowboys is an option for them because of how much Dallas likes him. And then after that, I mean, Michael Myers would be great, but Raiders aren't going to trade him to the Broncos. So I'm not sure who else is out there outside of the big three of Andrews, Njoku, or Chig.
I do wonder just some of the bad teams. Again, do these guys even move the needle? But you have Daniel Bellinger from the Giants, who's a wide tight end, had that obviously that schemed up touchdown, but he's a good athlete and a good blocker. And with the Giants losing again and Cam Scatterboo out for the year, maybe the Giants are selling somebody who's kind of been, I think, drafted by Peyton. He's been the third tight end there, but maybe Foster Moreau from the Saints as well. A little bit of wide ability. They've had somebody else displace him somewhat. I think he's had some injuries to start the season. After that, though, I mean, you're looking at pretty like the teams that have 1 win or 2 wins. That's the range of the sellers you're looking right now. The Falcons are starting to circle the drain, but I don't think Kyle Pitts really changes it. But maybe you make a move for Charlie Warner, who's a pretty good blocker for the Falcons as well. That's one if they really need draft capital because they've given up so much. So if the Falcons lose again this week, which against the Patriots, maybe that's a thing. So that's another name. Everybody knows Kyle Pitts, but we don't necessarily need Kyle Pitts. We need the why. Yeah. We need somebody who can freaking block. That's not Troutman, who right now is just kind of feels like he's just taking up a roster spot more than anything else. So I don't know, Erica. The wide tight ends are hard to come back to. I know it was kind of a hard thing in the offseason, and maybe it was just a play by his agents, but everybody was so obsessed with looking for the Joker, and I'm like, can I just get a Y who can do everything good? They had Mark Andrews on the trade block, Ingram available as well, and I see Dallas Goedert flashing as a Y tight end, and I'm like, give me one of those. You can do so much more if you actually have somebody who can function in line, which right now Denver doesn't. I gotta say, I don't know. I've mocked him to the Broncos in my final mock. It's the guy that I wanted, one of the guys I wanted most in that class. But did you watch the game last night? I know you don't typically watch non-Broncos games as much. Tucker Kraft out there for the Packers as well. I wanted Tucker Kraft so bad in that class, and I don't know if he came off the board before or after Drew Sanders, but it was kind of around that pick, and I was like, God, the stupid Packers taking 2 tight ends in that class, Luke Musgrave and then Tucker Kraft. But we need a Y really bad. And Flying Anger Pig, yes, we do have audio issues today. I do not know what's going on with StreamYard. Really do apologize for that stream. It's above right now. It's something with the platform itself is having issues.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of Tucker Kraft, and I really wanted him. I can't remember either where he went in relation to Drew Sanders, but it was, I'm trying to see here. Looks like he went about 11 picks later, which stinks. But man, I absolutely was a big fan of Tucker Kraft coming out. I felt he should have gone higher. Yeah. If I remember correctly, I might be mistaken.
He was hurt.
I actually had a 2nd round grade on him despite the injury.
Yeah.
Not surprised he fell because of it, but I was such a big fan of what he could do and what he can bring. I liked him more than
Musgrave.
Yeah. I remember that. And part of that was I wasn't a big fan of Musgrave. And then as for the audio issues, again, we really apologize. It absolutely stinks for not only you guys, but for us as well. We pride ourselves on audio quality, and so when we have audio issues that are beyond our control, it's not like our mics are unplugged or partially plugged in or whatever. It's something on StreamYard's end, which we know that because I'm not having any issues with with Nick.
You are hurting my feelings.
That's like the 4th time too since Friday night that I called you Lance. But there's no audio issues on our end. I'm hearing Nick just fine, and I'm assuming he's hearing me just fine. So it's something with the streaming over onto with StreamYard, getting it over onto YouTube and everything like that. And we apologize so much for that, guys. Not what is loved, especially on Victory Monday after such a big victory.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Denver sitting here with the 3 seed because of tiebreakers right now coming out of this win but first place in the AFC West. Chiefs win tonight, they will stay at the 8 seed because of the excuse me, they'll jump the Jaguars because the Jaguars have a bye week this week. So 5-3 over 4-3. I'm very frustrated the Chiefs get to play the Commanders. I think Jaden Daniels is out, right? So that stinks. But Denver's got everything in front of them. And according to NFL.com's playoff picture, Broncos currently have an 83% chance to make the playoffs. So I will say, like, this game coming up against Houston isn't do or die for the Broncos by any means. But this is one that could be very direct with your playoff seeding. I know that the Texans have been a little bit up and down, but they're a team that, with the defense they have and how Stroud has looked the last 2 weeks, they are very close to being a playoff team. So this is an important game for the Broncos all the same. A good measuring stick game, but also it'd be good to get after owning the state of New York, Eric, it'd be great to own the state of Texas back-to-back playing the Lone Star teams. But we do want to get out of here so that way we're not ruining our reputation with the mic and everything going on here. And my parents are here. I think the kids may be streaming something. Once I'm out of this room and in the guest room, I'll hopefully figure out something. I'm going to try to see if I can get the router upstairs and direct plug in. But we got Flying Anger Pig coming in here. Great to see you. He says, good morning, guys. Texans D is no joke. I mean, by a lot of the stats, they're the best defense in football this season, Eric. So it's a tough game for the Broncos, and their offense looks like they have a little bit of life. Granted, their offensive line is so bad that maybe Denver can neutralize what they've been doing up front. I think if Denver can take away the run, you take away the play action, and it's constantly third and long, it is hard to do that out there. Now, granted, wouldn't expect Surtain in this one. That changes things a bit. But Denver can beat anybody any given weekend. First game, I think maybe the first game this year, Eric, Denver doesn't lose the total penalty yardage game. Dallas actually finishes with more penalty yards. I don't know if they had more total penalties, but yardage, what they did. So 9 for 80 versus 7 for 42. So shout out to the Cowboys for out Denvering Denver this week. And maybe it's a trend for Denver going forward.
Yeah, and as you're talking about with the Texans game, going back on the road, it's tough, especially after a few, those back-to-back home games. It's tough, and the Texans defense is tough. They're CJ Stroud. He hasn't been the issue with the offense, and so that's such a threat. And with Patrick Surtain seemingly being out for this game, still early, we still haven't had any official word yet, but that just seems to be the rumbling that's going around. It makes it a little bit tougher, but they do also get a reinforcement back with Dre Greenlaw coming off the suspended list. So hopefully the defense can figure it out. I'm willing to bet on Vance Joseph figuring it out against an offense that's starting to put things together, but still has a ways to go. Question is, can this offense not necessarily do exactly what they did against the Cowboys, but just be more consistent and get even just a portion of what we got against the Cowboys? I think that the Broncos have a really good chance in this one if they can get that out of their offense against a top 3 defense in the NFL at the very least. This Texans defense is legit, and they have playmakers at every single level, and they just fly to the ball. They're so well coached, and the fundamentals and everything that's part of what makes them such a formidable foe. And even though they're not getting sacks at the rate the Broncos are, they're getting turnovers at a high rate, which is where the concern is as well. As I said earlier, I think I have Denver winning this one right now. Once I dig into it, we'll see if that changes. But I think the Cowboys game will help this offense be a little bit more consistent going forward, and really looking at what worked and kind of sticking with that a little bit more.
Exactly. Well, awesome game for the Broncos. I feel like we didn't even talk enough about the offensive line for how good they were in this game. Bo Nix got hit maybe once. I mean, some of the designs they had, it was on the upper echelon of like expected time you can have without pressure, and they were great on that front. The run game was great. The rookies as well. And then the final one, I'm always very critical of quarterback play in general because the bar is the best quarterback in the NFL in my book because of the division you play in, the expectations of this team. So it's always still with a little bit of a curve. But Bo Nix had maybe one of the best games of his career. Very terrible defense. It is what it is. Some of those throws, even if it was a terrible defense, were good. So hopefully that gives them some confidence going forward. I know the Broncos coming out of this game said they had some of the best practice they've had all season coming into this one. I hope they found something here. It doesn't have to be 44 points every week, but if we can get 75% of the efficiency, the explosiveness from this game as well. I mean, Denver had like 8 20-plus yard plays or something like that. This Denver team could feasibly go up against anybody and beat anybody if the offense plays 75% of what we saw. And a lot of that has to offensive line first, always be offensive line first. But Bo Nix, huge game from him. Shout out to him again. If I'm going to be super harsh with him when he doesn't play well and not make excuses for him, you damn straight I'm going to be up here and tell you that he had a really good game. That first interception, bad. Like, it is what it is, not good. After that, though, balls on the table, big boy throws down the field, middle of the field. You couldn't ask for more in the circumstances. So shout out to Bo Nix. That's one of those games where like it's like, okay, maybe we have a chance to have a top 10 quarterback here. That there was enough there to believe that. One game, bad defense, he played great. Shout out to Bo Nix.
Yeah, I mean, and on that, he hit a couple on those deep shots, which have been such an issue for the Broncos all season long, and some of them were just beautiful throws right in the bucket. The touchdown to Pat Bryant, the drop by Cortland Sutton was just an amazing throw. The one to Troy Franklin, that was a great one. Not the touchdown, but the one he had on the second drive over the middle of the field. Like, he hit Troy Franklin in stride to pick up yards after the catch. Like, Bo Nix played phenomenal. Outside of maybe like 3 plays in total, Bo Nix was outstanding. Like, no issues with what he did in that game whatsoever. And if he, as you said, if you can get 75% of that, then it's going to be great for the Broncos. If this offense can consistently put up, I'd say 24 points, they're going to be in every single game and probably win a lot of them with how this defense is. And even though they're going to take a slight step back with Patrick Surtain, again, I'm putting a lot of faith in Vance Joseph here, because what he did in that second half against the Cowboys without Patrick Surtain, sure, they allowed some drives and they allowed some points, but it's not going to be perfect. But they shut down the onslaught of weapons that the Cowboys can throw at them so well until late in the game, where they're just constantly throwing, and Chris Abrams-Drain playing with a 15-yard cushion consistently that George Pickens or CeeDee Lamb just ate up and just hit those underneath throws. And you know what? You can live with those. So yeah, I have 20 to 24 points from this offense. Denver can win just about any game this season with that from the offense and what this defense can do.
Again, somewhat of a grain of salt, because the Cowboys defense is ass-tacular. But we have a real test next week against the Texans. So shout out to the Broncos. You only play who's in front of you. We are on a five-game win streak now. Yeah, 5-game win streak, tied for the longest in the NFL. And this Denver team, if they can keep getting better, if Bo Nix can look like this, if they can block like that, if they can run the football and dictate on offense while taking away the other team's run game and making them one-dimensional and getting after the quarterback, a lot can happen. We're all bated breath now, waiting for the Patrick Surtain news. So hoping for the best there. But, I mean, it's good times. Broncos country, I know that it's hard for me to say you guys deserve that, because I just come over from the Falcons podcast, where they haven't had a winning season in 8 years, and the Falcons don't have a history of anything good, where Denver does. But it was a long 10 years, and it feels like we're starting to reap the reward of patience. And I know there's going to be probably some of the real fan, like, where were you? Blah, blah, blah. You were critical of this player. Let him on board. Let's have fun with it. It's there's no guarantees in the league, and it's really fun right now to be a Bronco fan. So we're hoping for the best for Patrick Surtain. But Denver's sitting here 6-2, and they got about as good of a chance to. They're probably a tier 2 team in the league overall. But if the offense can put together, 4 or 5 games, like kind of like this, let's say 75% of this, oh boy, we're going to have some conversations. So excited for that, and excited for what comes next, and just a fun game. Hopefully everybody's healthy. Eric, listeners, everybody, sorry about the internet and the mic quality going on with StreamYard and whatever the heck's going on there. Good to see Lawrence in the house saying having Cowboys fans being quiet. Yeah, I saw a lot of Cowboys fans last night. My dad really wanted to go to In-N-Out because he was in California for a bit, and morning the lines are long, and he didn't care. So my God, Eric, those fries are the saltiest thing I've ever had in my life, next to the Cowboys tears coming out of this one. But appreciate everybody. Make sure you're following us at Mile High Huddle, also at Eric Trickle and at Nick Kendall, MHH, over at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And as the ticker says underneath, please subscribe, like, and share. We're going to get on out of here. It does seem like, I don't know how the mics are going here, but my internet's finally starting to clear up. Perfect. Just in time for us to get out of here. So appreciate you. Thanks for being patient as well while we were 10, 15 minutes late while I got coffee because I didn't sleep a lick last night with the kid up from like 1 to 4. God bless him. He must be a Cowboys fan. He was pretty upset. But appreciate everyone. Go Commanders. Eric, any final thoughts?
No, go Commanders. Can't believe I'm rooting for them. Go Broncos, of course. Such a great win. And again, apologies for the audio issues. Can't stress that enough. It obviously stinks. And yeah, it was a great game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It's one that I hope that we don't like use as a look back when there's other bad offensive games. I'm like, well, look what they did against this one. Don't want it to be the Falcons game from last year. So that'd be frustrating. But good to see Clayton in here. Good to see everybody. I'll see you again tomorrow evening. Got to get the kid into daycare and start the day. Getting a haircut. My wife said, I'm tired of looking at you. It's also my wife and I's 6-year wedding anniversary. So shout out to us. But yeah, appreciate everyone. Love y'all. Go Broncos. Choose kindness and compassion. And man, 5-game win streak, 6-2. Why not us? Go Broncos.